This is my lab 1 report. So in this lab, I first determined the sign of the charge on the two tapes by looking at the interaction between the tape and a known sign charged object. And for this, I used a pen. I rubbed the pen against my hair to gain a negative charge, and then I put the pen near the tape, and then the tape is repelled by the pen, so the sign of the charge on the tape should be negative. And then I determine the magnitude of the charge by constructing an equation when the tape is in equilibrium. And the main physics principles I use are listed here. The functions to calculate the electric field and electric force, and also Newton's second law. The data I gathered from my experiment is listed here. The length of each tape is 0.2 meters. The mass of each tape is 2 times 10 to negative 4 kilograms. And the distance between the two tapes when tape 2 is floating is 0.04 meters. And here's my Go script code. First, I put some constants, as I mentioned in the previous slide, and then the two objects, tape 1 and tape 2, and the initial values, the R, which is tape 2's position minus tape 1's position, and also the R mag and R hat, and also the functions. Since tape 2 is floating, it is in equilibrium, and so the gravitational force and the electric force acted on tape 2 should be equal to each other. And from this, I can calculate the Q and also the gravitational force and the electric force. This is the result. The orange arrow represents the electric force and the green arrow represents the gravitational force. And here is the magnitude of the charge on the tape. And this one, the second one, is the gravitational force, and the third one is the electric force. So the assumptions I made for this lab is that I treat a long tape as though it were a point charge with all the charge concentrated at the center of the long tape, and I also assume that each U tape had about the same amount of charge evenly distributed along the length of the tape. And this makes the calculation easier and also more accurate. And also since the U tape had about the same amount of charge, the forces, the gravitational force and the electric force will be the same. And the what if question, what if electrons had positive charge and protons had negative charge? I think the result would be the same, because if electrons had positive charge, then the pen I initially used to determine the sign of the charge on the tape should be positively charged, and then the tape will be repelled by the pen, so the tape should also be positively charged, and the result will be the same. And also, why is it important to handle the charged tapes as little as possible? Because if you accidentally touch the tape by your hand or other objects, there will be some electrons or charges transferred between the two objects, and which will definitely make the calculation inaccurate. So the result for this lab is that the sign of the charge on each tape is negative, and the magnitude of the charge is 6.6 times 2 to negative 7. And that's all for my lab 1. Thank you.